Okay.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is I believe Daf Tazayin. So yesterday was Tazvav. So we'll start with yesterday's Gemara or yesterday's Mishnah, which is primarily the made up of the Mishnah for the parak. So Zuk, the Mishnah. Seder Tanya Tezvav Amar Aleph Tezvav.
Okay.
Tezi. Seder Tanya is Kesad. Maitzin is a teva l'rechayva shalir. So they go ahead and they take out the teva, the arum, to the town, the town square in the area, right? Out in the public area. And Naisnin Efer Nikla al Gabi Teva. And they go ahead and they put, right, like Afer is ashes, right? Afar with an ayin normally refers to dirt, right? But they're both composed of things. So Afer Mikla means, right, burnt ashes, right? Sort of redundant, but Afer Mikla al Gabi Teva, V'rosh HaNasi, also on the head of the Nasi, V'rosh HaBezdin, and the head of the Bezdin. V'chol echad v'yechad, and upon everyone, Naisein, B'rosh, and Hazakein Shabahan, Aimer Lifneyan, Divrei Kivushin. And the Zakein, the elder amongst them, right? So he says words that will bring them to do tshuva, divrei musar, achenu. It says, Leinemar ba'anshi Ninveh v'erakim es sakam v'es tanisam. It doesn't say that Hashem saw the people of Ninveh, right? Their sackcloth that they wore and their fasting. Ela vayar elakim es maseyam. Kishavu miderachem haro. Right? And so he says, no, rather, he says he saw their deeds, right, and their actions, and that which they did tshuva. So that's what the important thing is. And furthermore, it says, the pasuk Omer says, "V'kiru levalchem." It says, "V'kiru levalchem v'abigdechem amdu." It says over there, right, and they tore their hearts, right, and their clothes. In other words, their hearts were the main thing. That was the main thing, to turn your hearts, to have your hearts do tshuva. So amdu b'tfila, maridi l'fnei teva zakein, the ragil. So they would then stand with tefillah. They would begin to daven, and the elder amongst them, the ragil, and the one who is accustomed to daven, who's familiar with the words, the yesh labanim, and he has children, people in his house, beisa reika, and his house is empty. Kadesh yelibo shalim b'tefillah, in order that he should be able to go ahead and daven. For the tzibur. In other words, he is, somebody who's, very rich, and everything is going well. How could he cry, right? So get somebody who also, his personal situation would also cause him to cry and pour out his heart. The Yomer lifneim esrim v'arba brachos. And they say before them, right? The people, they say there are 24 brachos, right? We mentioned this earlier. So brachos yiduchesh b'chol yom. They're the regular 18, that's every day. And there's another 6 that are added. The Eluhain, and these are them. All right, actually, we're going to mention 7. The Gemara will ask a question. But Eluhain, Zichronos, Zichronos v'Shofros. So they mention Zichronos and Shofros, right? As right, basically the same psukim that we say during the tefillah on Rosh Hashanah, right? I believe as Rashi says over here, right? Kol psukim shayim Rosh Hashanah, right? So it's Zichron v'Shavas, and then it says El Hashem b'tzarasa li karasi ve'aneni. So it says over there. Then the pasuk over there. Then next pasuk is the pasuk in. So now we're going to psukim. This is from Tehillim. Dalet actually is for Kuf Chaf. And this is Esanai Larim. That's the next one. That's Kuf Chaf Aleph. Mimakim Karsicha Hashem. All these are different Shir Malos from Tehillim. So that is Kuf Lamed and Tefillah Le'ani. Also, there's Kuf Beis Kiyatev. Right, so that's part of the pasuk. So those 4. And Rabbi Yehuda Omer, lo hayatzrich lamar zichron shofros elo Omer tachteim. That was zichron shofros. Rather, they say instead, Rav kiyeh ba'aretz dever kiyeh asher Hashem dever diber Hashem el Yirmiyahu adivei hatzaros. Right. So he says no. We can place those 2 set of psukim with these set of psukim. Now, the Aimer Chaismeya, so those are the psukim that were said. So each one will soon see the psukim that were mentioned. They say a parak, and then there was a bracha afterwards. The Aimer Chaismeyan al Rishayna. Right. So then afterwards, then they say the chasima for each one. So al Rishayna Aimer for the first one they say Mishana es Avram behar Moria hu yana eschem vayishma b'kol tzagasam hayom hazeh. So they say the first psukim. Then they say whoever listened to Avram Vino har Moria, he should listen to you crying out, screaming out, Baruch atah Hashem, Goel Yisrael. So the first bracha is Goel Yisrael. So students in the Gemara that this bracha is actually could have been the one that was included. Remember we said there's 18, and then we're going to bring 7. The additional 6 was 7. So this one actually is the same bracha as Gal Yisrael, right? Or Goel Yisrael. So over here, you say Fish Goel Yisrael. Al Shniya Hoimer. Mishnah Zavasin Al Yamsuf, Hu Yana Eschem Vayishma Kol Tzakasam Hayom Hazeh Baruch Atah Hashem Zocher Nishkachos. So the second one after he says the Zichronos, because first was the Shofros, then the Zichronos. So he says this. Whoever listened to the Bnei Yisrael, right, and the Yamsuf, right, you should listen to them, and then Zocher Nishkachos, right. And Al Ashlishi Suaymer Mishas Yoshuba Gilgal Hu Yaneschem Vayishmak B'Kol Tzarasam Hayom Hazeh Baruch Atah Hashem Shameya Trua. This is Shameya Trua. This comes after the other the next psukim in the one we said in I get Tehillim, the first one over there. And Al Ravi Hu Aymer Mishas Shema B'Mitzvah Yaneschem Vayishmak B'Kol Tzarasam Hayom Hazeh Baruch Hashem Shameya Tzaka. Chamishis, and the fifth one, Uomer Mishras Eliyav Har Kamel Yaneschem Vayishma B'Kol Tzakasayim Hayom Hazeh Baruch Hashem Shomeya Tefila Al Shishis, and the sixth one, Uomer Mishras Yona Hadaga Hu Yaneschem Vayishma B'Kol Tzakasayim Hayom Hazeh Baruch Hashem Ha'oina Beis Tzara. Right, so that was the mentioned by Yona and the dog and Al Shvis, and the seventh one, Uomer Mishras David Shlomo ben Yerushalayim Hu Yaneschem. So that was the seventh bracha which is added, and the way we sort of the Gemara will ask is, the first one is actually included in Goel Yisrael with Goel Yisrael. Now, so basically what they did is they said the psukim, which we mentioned before. Each one they mentioned the psukim, and then there was a bracha following each and every one. So Maisa, turn the page. Maisa b'mei Rabbi Chalafter Rabbi Chanim ben Tradion she'avar echel lifnei hateva. V'gamar es bracha kula lo anu acharav amein. Right. So there was a Maisa with Rabbi Chanim ben Tradion, right, that someone wanted to go ahead and daven. He finished the bracha, and they didn't answer amein. Right. So rather, what are they? Right. So they didn't answer. So. And then we see one second, and then it says over there, right? So they didn't answer. They didn't say amen. We'll soon see that there was a special bracha that was said in the mikdash, right? Which they didn't say amen. They said Baruch Shein Kavod Ma'chusay. And then Tiko HaKohanim, and then they said the Kohanim to go ahead and blow, right? Tiko HaKohanim Tiko. And blow and Mishas Avram Avinu Bahara Maria Hu Yanes Kava Yishma B'Kol Tzarasam Hayom Hazeh Hariu Bnei Aaron Hariu. Go ahead and right and sound the sounds, right, the shofar, right, and so that was that bracha. Then he finished with the bracha over there. So that was the first bracha. So the way they did it was he said the pasuk, and then they said for the kohen to go ahead and blow the shofar, and then they went ahead. And they did that. Now, then they said, next one. And Misha, then he says, Hari b'nei Aaron Hariu Misha Nasav Sein Al Yamsuf Yanes Chem Ve'Yishma Kol Tzarasam Hayom Hazeh. Then they would say next one. They would also mention blow the shofar, and then they would say the next bracha. So this is how they did it. In other words, they did it with the shofar, and without saying amen, it was saying Baruch Shein Kavod Ma'chusay. The only place that they do this is in the base of Mikdash. We don't go ahead and we say amen after every bracha, as opposed to telling the Kohanim to go ahead and blow the shofar. That was reserved for the and saying Baruch Shein Kavod Ma'chusay was reserved for the base of Mikdash. We're on Tes Vav on the base. I don't know, 7-8 lines down from the top. Shalosh Taniyas Harishonos. That which we said, the first 3 Tanisim. So remember, there was 3 by the Yechidim, and then there was 3 instituted on Rosh Chodesh Kislev. Then there was another 3, and then there was 7. So Shalosh Taniyas Harishonos Anshim Mishmar Misanin. V'lo Mashlimin. I actually saw this quote earlier in the Masechta. That during the first time is the Anshe Mishmar, the Kohanim who worked in the Mikdash, so they would, or that for that week. So Misanim V'lo Mashlimin, they would fast, but they wouldn't complete the fast. The Anshe Beisav V'lo Misanin Klal, and those who are the Beisav, those who are working in the Mikdash, they wouldn't fast at all. Right? The reason is because the Kohanim, they used to work day and then the night, and the night. No new korbanos were brought. The night was used to go ahead and burn, right, the different ones, so they could sort of, other kohanim would pitch in if they saw that the Beis Av was not able to go ahead and complete their work. So, but once the night was coming around, they would basically know whether or not. But so they would go ahead and they would not complete the fast in case they were needed. And certainly the people who were bring their avoda during the first 3 fasts, they would not fast at all. Shlosh niyas during the middle 3 anshi mishram b'sanim misham. Then the people of the Mishra, in other words, the Kohanim whose week it was, everyone would come over there. Whoever week it was, they would come there. But only one base av would serve. So the entire Anshe Nishmar who weren't working there, that wasn't their day. Whenever the fast day fell out, they would fast the complete day. The Anshe Beis Av and the people of the Beis Av, but the people who were actually working, they would fast, but they would not complete it. And Shevach Ranos, Elu Velu Masana Mashlimim, Div Rabbi Yishua. And the last 7, then everybody would go ahead and fast, not only those people of the Mishmar, of the Anshe Beis the Mishmar, but also those of the Beis Av. And Chachamim Amrim, no, Shalosh Taniyos Rishonos, the first 3, Elu Velu Lohai Masana Klal. He goes one step easier in terms of not fasting. The first set, nobody fasts, not even the Anshe Mishmar. Shalosh Niyos, during the second series of fast of 3, Anshe Mishmar Masana. Then the people of the Mishnah would fast, they wouldn't complete it. And the people who were working during the middle 3 fasts, they would not fast at all. And Shavachronos, the last one, the people of the Mishnah would fast and complete it. They would do a full fast. However, the Anshe Beisav, they would fast, but they would not complete it. Now, Anshe Mishmar, Mutar and Lishas Yain, Beleilos. The people of the Mishmar would permitted to drink wine. One is not allowed to go ahead and drink while serving the avoda, while being intoxicated. So the Anshe Mishmar was motivated for them to drink at night because once again they saw at night if let's say it was their Mishmar's week, so they all Yishlayim, and their day was Tuesday, right? So Tuesday night they know they weren't asked to go ahead and bring help burn whatever limbs were still left to go ahead and help them burn them. If they were needed, then they knew they were off the entire night. They weren't going to be needed. So therefore, because no new korbanos could be brought, therefore they would be able to drink. Not during the day, because once again, if they needed extra hands, they would be called to them, and they couldn't do the avodah if they were intoxicated. The people of the Beis Av, they were not able to go ahead drink not during the day or not during the night. And Anshe Mishmar, Anshe Maimed. Now the people of the Mishmar and also the people of the Maimed, they used to send people who were not Kohanim to the base of Mikdash because they would be basically the representatives of the Bnei Yisrael. So the Kohanim who were performing the avoda on behalf of Bnei Yisrael, so they would have people of Anshe Maimed. They were there in the Mikdash. A certain the Saper Milchabes. It was also for them to go ahead. And I guess they would not go ahead and get haircuts, right? They would not wash their clothes. Uvachamishi, however, on Thursday, Mutar and Bnei Kavod Shabbos. They would do it because of Kavod Shabbos. Some clothes to Shabbos, right? Right.
Just kidding.
Right, Rashi's at the time for Big Gemara. Sometimes Rashi, includes it.
There's nothing wrong with doing avoda in clean clothing.
Right. So if you
These guys aren't doing the avoda.
They're representatives, right? So right. I mean, normally the time where we prohibit those is days of prohibitive malacha, right? That's doing malacha in terms of kibbutz, right? Or those items. So those are perhaps some sort of moed. It is for those people who are there. We'll have to see in the Gemara. Fine. But we said on Thursday, then they're allowed to go to Bnei Kavod Shabbos. Now, Kolakas Megillas Tainis Misaped Lefanav.
Yeah.
So Lefanav Asr Lacharav Mutter. Anything that was written in Megillas Tainis. Now, Megillas Tainis we mentioned before is different miracles and occurrences which happened during occurrences which happened to the Jews, right? And therefore they basically had these days as a holiday. We're not going to eulogize in this day. We're not going to fast in this day. So if it was one of those days where the rule was no eulogizing and of course no fasting, lefanav asr le'acharav mutter. So if one of the Mondays or Thursdays fell out, right, lefanav on the day before. So let's say Tuesday was one of the special days. There were a little shtickle holiday. So lefanav the day before couldn't be a fast. They wouldn't fast on that Monday either. If even one of their the fast days. But if it was let's say a Sunday, then they could go ahead and fast on Monday. Rabbi Yossi Amir lefanav acharav asr. And Rabbi Yossi says no. Lefanav acharav not only before, even after you can't go ahead. The day before, day after, you can't go ahead and have that a public fast. Delo lisana. But if the day was just a day, right? There were different levels of holidays in Megillas Tainis. One was you can't eulogize, you can't fast. Another one was you just can't fast, but you're allowed to eulogize. So those days, Delo lisana, lefanav acharav mutter, before and after is okay, and Rabbi Yossi Amir lefanav asr, before it is asr, and afterwards the acharav is mutter. Ein geizin tanis al tzibur betchila b'chamisha shelo dafki ashar. We don't start with the fast on a Thursday, in order not to affect, the markets, the prices. For Shabbos also there's the shortage and people need more food and extra, so they don't want to create havoc. So therefore, they don't start it on a Thursday. Rather, the first set starts on a Monday. Then we can go to a Thursday because they already know what the effects of the fast are. The second ones says this opinion. It continues. So you do this starts with a Thursday because you already did Monday, right? Monday, Thursday, Monday, and then you continue Thursday, Monday, Thursday. You continue that week. Just like the first set doesn't start with a Thursday, so to the other fast don't start on a Thursday. Rather, they always start on a Monday. And guys, they're not guys. They're tanis and the tzibur and Rosh Chodesh. It's also a Yontif or in Chanukah and Purim. They mean chilu, and if they go ahead and I'm not even ready for Chanukah. I didn't have a menorah yet. All right, they mean chilu. Your wife goes out of town. She's in Israel now. I'll have to go to get some oil. And if they begin, ein mafsikin, but if they already start, they have, let's say it's the 7 or the 3 or whatever it is, then ein mafsikin divrei Rabbi Gamliel. That is the opinion of Rabbi Gamliel. And Amar Meir, afal pi sham Rabbi Gamliel ein mafsikin. Even if they said you don't stop, then you don't complete the fast. In other words, you don't fast all day, nor that you didn't go ahead and fast on Rosh Chodesh. So too, in the time where it's possible for Tisha B'Av to fall out on Friday, they would go ahead and they would break the fast right before Friday was over.
So if I understand it properly, they started a series of fasts, say last week,
right?
Monday, Thursday,
right?
This coming Monday is Hanukkah. So they would not break the series, they would continue the fast.
Right. So that was the one opinion, right? Right. That was Rabbi Gamliel, right? But he says ein mashlimin. The other opinion says they don't finish it.
They don't do it.
Right.
That's the opinion of Rabbi Meir.
Right. Right. So Rashi learns over here, and we'll simply have to see in the Gemara. Right. And it's only talking about Rosh Chodesh. Right. But if it was Purim or Chanukah, then they would not fast at all.
Well, once you start these series, Hanukkah is always going to be a problem.
Right.
It's impossible not to.
Right. Yeah. So,
Okay,
right,
so we're talking about you started a series
right,
and now a holiday is coming up.
right, or Rosh Chodesh, right.
Or Rosh Chodesh.
Right.
So what do you do?
So that's what the Mishnah, that's the case Mishnah's talking about, right?
That's the case.
So you try to avoid it, but once you can't avoid it, right? So then,
Rabbi Gamliel says you fast,
Right. A little much need.
right,
but you don't
right.
finish the fast.
No, that's Rabbi Gamliel holds on Rosh Chodesh, you finish the fast.
You do.
Yes.
Okay.
But Meir says, no, even though you fast, you don't finish it. You don't complete it.
You don't complete the
Right.
series.
Whether you break your fast either at Mincha Gedola or you break your fast at Tana or right
Oh,
before
I
Shkia,
see.
right? You eat that.
So you do start.
You start it right. Ain't mashlimin, right? They're not.
Okay.
They don't make
I
it.
didn't know
Yeah.
what Amos Shlim
Oh yeah.
was
No,
referring to.
it was referring to the fast. Now referring to the series. Very good.
The series, okay.
Fine.
Man, this time of year, you just skip breakfast.
Yeah.
You know, stop.
Fine.
Right.
All right. Let's see. Zak the Gemara. Aman.
In the March one.
All right. I'm just thinking about kids
I
landing.
got this morning and 5
Everybody quickly check your art scroll. to make
Than I
sure
was
it's there.
on Wednesday.
I brought mine from home.
There's one over here.
There's one.
Someone
Is it
was
large
perfect.
one?
Whose is that?
Cassie.
Mayor?
That's there. I don't.
It's a small art scroll.
Here's a.
Huh?
Big art stuff.
Big art scroll. All right. That's not. This is this one. Here we go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Zak the Gemara.
Tomorrow.
So the Gemara on Tesvav on base.
Right, tomorrow.
Gemara. So Seder Tanya is Ketzad. So Matina Sateva B'chul. So quote from the Mishnah. Now, Vafilu Kamaisa. So do we take the Teva out even on the first three? I for me as a kash. Shleish Tanya is Rishayna is Vishniya is Nichnas on the base of Knesset Palim Keder Shemis Palim Kol Shana Kula. But Shalachona is based in the Teva L'Rechayva Shalir B'Naisin. Efer al Gabi Teva V'Rosh Hanasi V'Rosh Avad Bezdin V'Kol Echad V'Yechad Naitel V'Naisin V'Rosh. So over here, so we say instead of here, before I continue to read the entire Bryce without explaining, right? So they during the first and second series, right, set of three, they would nichlas the beis haknesses. Then they would go ahead, they would daven in the shul, right, and they would and only the last ones they take the teva out. Says no, not just afer, not just right something that you sprinkle on, which could some interpret to be dirt, rather referring to burnt ashes, right? And our Papa. So it's a kasha because you just said even the first three, and this one seems befarish that the first two you do not go ahead and take it out. So that which is talking about taking outside. That was so Rapapa says is only talking about the last seven.
It's a Seder Taniyot.
Right. So it's really only
Not all
referring to
Taniyot.
right. It's only the last seven. Very good. Right. Now
Roshan.
of Rosh Nasi. Right, and then it says everybody does it. All right, Gimel. That says, tell 1 second. The Gimel over there.
That's a square again.
Yeah, no, it's right. Yeah, nice. Okay, so it says, right? He just takes the other word nightin, right? So it says, right, the nice right? Because you don't have others put on their head. We'll soon see why he makes that change, right? So Aini, is that so? Vatanya, Rabbi Aimer, Big Dola Maschilin. So it says over there, the larger Maschilin. So it says, Rabbi Big Dola Maschilin. So I mean, so we see over here that. All right. So first it says the Nasi does it, and then everyone else does it, right? And then so Rabbi Aimer, Big Dola Maschilin. We start from those who are agreed. In other words, we know that when it comes to matters of something which is good and something from greatness, then they stop from top bottom. But when they do something, right, which is beklala, right? Something which is cursed, and they start from the lower down. So the Nasi shouldn't be going first. The Nasi should be going last because we're doing something degrading, right? Now we're not like showing honor, like, okay, you get, who's going to be called up the Torah first, right? We're saying who gets ashes put on their head. This is the klala. Shamar, as the pasuk says, "Vayomer Moshe Aaron Lazar Litzmar," the klala, right? So that was when it comes to so Moshe was telling them, in other words, you're not sitting, you're not going to sit shiva. So first he addresses Aaron first, right? Then only after he does Aaron, then he does to his sons, right? To Lazar, Litzmar. And then it says, then when it was challah, the Darmar says, when it comes to the cursing, then it started with the snake first, right? The snake, the woman, and the man. So the highest one, quote unquote, he was cursed last. So why not over here? If we're cursing people, right? We're putting ashes on their head, then the Nasi should go last. Yeah.
What is the gedula here? I don't understand.
So in normal cases, right? It's a funny case because they're actually talking about Avelus, right? When the death.
Right.
But that was the gedula. In other words, they basically telling that they were not commanded to go ahead and mourn, right? They were commanded to go ahead and perform the avoda. So in terms of giving respect, Moshe addressed Aaron first.
I'm
Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to
our case, why
Right.
was the gedula in our
so it's not gedula. It's laklala. So since it's laklala, you should start from the bottom and then go up. So why are we starting from the top and going down? We should start from the bottom and going up. So the Gemara answers. So he says no. So he says right. So he says no. That this is case of gedula because over here we're trusting you that your tefillah should be answered first. So since it's your tefillah, right? This is considered to be something which is chashiv because your tefillah, and therefore we'll go ahead and have them go first. Right. So each one goes ahead and takes. So Amar Rav, Ravada, so it says so it says over there, and everyone else goes ahead and places their hand. So by the Nasi, let them also go ahead and put it on their head. It says each person puts it on their head, but when it comes to Russian, but when it comes to the Nasi and the Beis Av, others put it on their head. Why don't they also put it on their own head, right? So what's the reason why others go ahead and take the ashes to put on their heads as opposed to everybody else does their own head, but not when it comes to the Nasi or the Av Basin?
Wait, so somebody else puts the ashes
Only on the Nasi and the Av Basin. Right. Some Rabbi Abba, right? It's not the same one who was embarrassed himself versus one who others embarrassed. And that was since others are placing upon their heads, therefore it's even more degrading, more of a reason that their tefillos who are leaving tefillos should be answered. And Amar Rabbi Yitzchak says, Rabbi Yitzchak b'makom tefillin, they put in the place where the tefillin goes shnemar l'shum alevei l'tzion l'tizba l'hamper takas ephraim. So it says there to go ahead and to tell those who mourn, right, Yerushalayim, right, to go ahead and put the glory underneath where the ashes are, right, or pair where the ashes go. The ashes go where the pair goes, where the glory goes. Fine. Now, so here's a simon. So two dots. Lama. So we said lama yis in the rechov. Why do they go out? Why do they take the aron out into the city, into the town square? Shebchia bar Abba Amar Leimar Sakenu Betsina Vloinane. Nivzatzmenu Verhesio. They say, look, we tried to daven in privacy, it didn't work. Now we're even further embarrassing ourselves, for Hesia, for coming out in public, for that we should be answered. But the fact that we're moving, we're in goals, we're in exile from our shul, that is enough of a reason to go ahead and atone for us. So two different separate reasons. My benayu, what's the difference? Right? To move from one shul to another shul, right? If you move from one shul to another shul, so you're not outside, you're not in for Hesia, so therefore it's not as embarrassing. Maybe you shouldn't be answered. right? But if you're exiling yourself from one shul to another, right, then perhaps that's enough of a kapara that tefillah should be answered. He says, right? We had a private kli, right? And then it basically became degraded, right, with our aveiros, and therefore we take it outside to show how lowly we've come. And why don't they go ahead and dress sackcloth on right? We're like animals, right? This is like we're not even separating clothing. Why do we the ashes upon the teva? Right? I am with him in Sarah over there also. That the Hashem is with us, right? Wherever there's where there's suffering, that He suffers with us. So the aron is also, the ashes is also in mourning, right, in distress along with us. And Aram Zermish Chazina Lahu Rabban and Diave Afa Mikla Al Gabe Teva, it means that Zeya Li Kulu Gufay. Right, and the first time, as he says, says Reb Zeir, the first time, when he saw that Rabbanan go ahead and put ashes upon the table, then he was shaken to the core. And why did they go put ashes on each and every person? So so machlokes between Rabbi Levi bar Chama and Rabbi Chanina. Right, one says, right, we're in front, we're to you like we are, like we're ashes. Like we're dead, like we're nothing, right? The other one says no, that you should be like the Afer of Yitzchak, right? From the fact that he was for like Yitzchak, right? That that he was willing to go, Abraham was willing to take him. So my benai off our stuff, right? If they use dirt, right, then they don't use, I guess, ashes. So that one that was still lowly, I'm lowly like Afer, but the other one you don't have the schus of or the remembrance of the hinting of the Akedas Yitzchak. And Lama is in the basic first. Why do you go to the basic first? So please about Rabbi Levi bar Chama bar Chanina. One says Rechashu in front of you like Mason. Right. One is that we should be, considered like dead. Right. We're so lowly. We're like dead. The walking dead. And it says no, that that dead people should go ahead and and ask for mercy on our behalf. So my benai, when they go to the kavarim of Akum. Now, the kavarim of Akum, so they're not going to have they're still in a cemetery, so it's still considered like we're like dead people in the cemetery. But according to the other opinion, that those who are in the cemetery should be mevakesh rachamim on your behalf. Well, the dead akum, the dead chavim are not davening on your behalf. So therefore, according to that opinion, wouldn't apply.
So
therefore,
we're
that's
asking
right.
The Mason, I see, should also vakesh rachamim for us.
Right. If you're a Jewish cemetery.
Right.
So therefore, that would be the nafkamina.
This wasn't in the mission. This whole piece.
Yeah, they did right. The mission did not mention basic pharos. There was another minhag that was also done.
What the Mishnah mentioned?
It does not. No, it does not. Now, so we mentioned earlier my har hamoria. So please about Rabbi Levi, Rabbi Chama, Rabbi Chanina. Chad Omar har shiyatzim meno hara. L'Yisrael. This was the mountain where where basically Torah with the first commandment for where it first came out, right, to for Israel, right, for Bnei Israel. Others said no, this is like the beginning of the original fear for the Barakavim. Therefore, there's the lashon of Moria is Mora, which is fear, right? Not from teaching, right, or instruction, but rather from fear. And then we said, yeah,
Har Moria is identified as Har Sinai, or
no. So this is by right. Right here was
Yeah, right. It's not.
but I right. I because I believe Rabbi Chanina Tananami Hapluksa is my hearing that Rabbi Makam Akeda Hari right.
They're talking about the
Yeah.
Ephraim Yitzchak.
Right. Moria.
Right, Kim Sion takes Sarah from Sion.
Tosfos says Maria is at Sinai, by the way.
So does Rashi. There's a
Right.
moral of the Kochavim. The Lishna Achronis is our Sinai.
Right, let's go. Fine.
You show him.
So it's both.
No, I mean,
No, I mean Rashi's first pshat. I mean, usually when Rashi goes to pshat is referring to Sion, is referring to Yerushalayim, right? 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 Shematzi.
Yeah.
Fine. And let's fine. Now, Hazakin Shebehen.
Or it's any nun.
I'm sorry.
Or refers to any nun that they received Torah.
No. This is referring to a place called Haramoria. That was the machlokas of why it's called Haramoria. So, which mountain are they arguing about? Right. So, Hazakin Shebehen Ma'ilefneim Divrei Tevushin. So the Zakin says words, to go ahead and Divrei Musar, things to they have the move for teal. Tanrabanan im yesh zaken. Zaken. If there's a zaken, then he should go ahead and say it. V'im lav omer chacham. If not, then a chacham should go ahead. V'im lav omer adam shel tzura. If not, then a man of stature should go ahead and fill it. So atu zaken tekamri afagad lav chacham. So the only requirement is he's a zaken. And that he's not chacham. So Rabbi Yachi comes to say, "Im yesh zaken hu chacham." If there's a zaken and he's an older man and he's also tam chacham, then Omer zaken hu chacham. Then he says it. V'im lav. Then if not, then Omer chacham. Then a chacham should say. V'im lav is no chacham. Then Omer adam shel tzura. Then the man of stature should go ahead and say. And what is he saying? Achenu lo yisak b'tanis garimim. Right, my brothers. Right, it's not the sackcloth that we wear, or the fact that we're the fasting causes Hashem to listen to our tefillos. Ella tshuva ma'asim tovim, rather is to do tshuva and good deeds. Garmim shechem asin v'anchin nimah, from anchin nimah shaloi never behen bayar halukim esakam etani. So it doesn't say that Hashem saw that they're wearing sackcloth and they're fasting. Ella bayar halukim as masayim kishav minachem hara. Right, Hashem saw their actions that they went ahead. And they were chayzer, then they did tshuva from the evil deeds, and that was the important. Right, and then it says over there, and then they wore a sackcloth, and the animals were covered. Right, so my havya, this is what they do. So right. In other words, so what does it mean that they, what do the animals do? Right, animals don't wear clothes. So what do? In other words, they basically separated, right, the mothers, the nursing mothers, from their calves, right? Right? If you don't have rachim on us, we won't have rachim on this. So then I was just like a calf needs to nurse his mother, so too we need your mercy. Vayikru el elokim bechazaka. So they call it Hashem bechazaka samai. What was it say? Aluv v'sheina aluv, right? So one who is suffering and one who is not, or tzaddik v'rasha minid chami, right? Who who bows, who goes to? In other words, that even though one is wrong, right? One's a tzaddik, one's a rasha, or one is one is very stubborn and one is not. It's always the kinder, gentler, better person that makes up with the other. So too. We've been bad. We've been Russia, but come meet us at our end because we're bad. And says each person, right? They all returned from the evil deeds and the chamas that was in their hands. So my chamas, right? The theft that was in their hands. Amar Shmuel, afilu gaza marish ubanu bira. Even they went ahead and they stole a large beam and they built in the house. Normally one does not have to return it if it's already built in. And I was like, call the rest they would go ahead and tear down the house to return the beam. Yeah. And a person has an avera and is mivada ve'ein chayzer bo, right? And what's he saying to? A person is holding a sheretz, right? He's holding something which is metame him, and he's holding it in his hand, right? and he tries to the mikvah. Even he goes to every water in the world, right? His tefillah doesn't help. So all the viduis you do, right? If you're still holding that sheretz, if you're still holding that bad maisa in your hand, it doesn't count for nothing. Zarkim yadu, you throw it away, you get rid of it, you stop doing that avera. Once all you need is 40 saw, you don't need all the waters in the world, you don't even need a large ocean. Get 40 saw, then it counts as tefillah. Shnei says, Yerucham. And says so it says that I guess they left and their bad ways, and then they lifted their hearts towards Hashem. Fine. Amdu b'tfila maridin lifnei ateva zakim v'chul. So now, so amdu b'tfila maridin lifnei ateva. So Taner Rabbanan. So they stood tefillah, and then they went for the Taner Rabbanan. Amdu b'tfila alpi sham zakim v'chacham emaridin lifnei ateva ela adam haragil. So even if they had there was a chacham there, right, and a zakein. Nevertheless, we only send somebody up who's rugged, right? Who knows the tefillos? He has to be familiar with the tefillos. Right. Rabbi Huda Imer, metupa of einlo, a person who has young children, right, and he doesn't have money to support them. In other words, he's broken. Even from the inside, or he has work, but his house is empty, right? And he has an and I guess his
Nice voice.
no. So it says let's see, right? Right. So it says here, Pirkana is the first to come. Right. One will soon say what it means. Right. Pirkana. And he's humble. And people like him. And he has a nice, sweet voice. And he's an expert in reading in Tanakh, and also different to darshan medrashim and halachas and different agadas. And he's familiar with all the brachas. Then so the Rabbanan hearing this, these are what we need. So the Rabbanan at the time, they put their eyes upon Rabbi Yitzchak Barami, I guess, who was qualified with these qualifications. So Haina Matupel, the Einlo, Haina Beis Rekam. So it says, what does it mean that he has children, right? But also he has no money, or he has work, and his house is empty. Means his house is empty from Avera, right? That's the type of person that we need. But Pirkana, right? Pirkana means someone who doesn't have a bad name from his youth, right? When he's younger, right? So when he's younger, he doesn't have a bad reputation when he was young. So even that will come back and haunt. And Haisali, so the pasuk says, Haisali nachlasi ba'aryeh v'yar nos nolai b'koila alkein sonesia. So it says that I had this nachla, this inheritance, right, like a lion in the yard, in the forest, and he gave her voice, and therefore I hate her. So my nos nolai b'koila. What does it mean? Gave her voice, nos nolai b'koila, gave the voice against. So I'm Marzucha Bartuga, I'm Rav, I'm Rabbi Chamabar Lazar. That's somebody who basically is unfit to be the Sheikh Tzibur. He goes before, he has a Sheikh Tzibur, and the voice comes out, but it is Nasna Alai B'Kolo, right? The voice is against me, it's not with me, it's not somebody who is listened to. The Aimer, the Lifneim, then the Sheikh Tzibur says before them, so now, so they say, the 24, 18 of the normal ones, plus an additional 6. So the Gemara asks, Hani Shesh. Well, is it 6? Well, if you can count, Sheva, right? There's 7. Kedetanan, Al Shvis Hu Amer Baruch Merachim Aloris. Right? He even mentions that the Mishnah mentions on the 7th one. So Amar Rav Nachman Rayitza Mai Shvis La Rucha. It means the 7th long. Now we have 7 long brachas. The 7 long brachas of the 24, right? 6 of which are completely new. But Goyal Yisrael Marish, right? During the bracha of Goyal Yisrael, right, which we say, right, we say in the tefillah, right? So we're marich. We say over there the extra psukim. Then towards the end we say Mishanas Avram Bahara Maria, which is the first one we mentioned, right? Hu Yanes Chem Yishma B'Kol Tzagos Mayom Hazeh Baruch Goyisrael. Say Baruch Goyisrael. So that's the bracha of Goyisrael. The Hein words.
So where are they inserted?
So they're inserting them in the middle of the Shemona Esrei, right? In this bracha of Goy Yisrael, they insert that there.
Okay, and then they follow that with the other
So,
six.
so we had before of where, right? So we had before. There's a question later on where the other six inserted. Fine. Fine. So Amar. So we just said. So then afterwards they say Amen. So v'chazak knesses aymilahem tiku b'nei Aaron tiku. Then so the chazan says, right at that point he says, go ahead and blow tiku b'nei Aaron tiku. The chayzer b'yamer mishnas avasin aliyam suf. So now at this point they continue going on right after this bracha of Goel Yisrael. Right before they move on, they say the next one, right? And he says, "Lo, right, shofar." So now it's machlokes, right? It's machlokes rishonim as to the type of blowing the shofar and whether they just do a tkiya or there's a tkiya true tkiya, or so. And then when it says so, sometimes they say tiku, and so this is either just a tkiya or a tkiya true tkiya. The Chayzer B'Yomer, then he goes down and he says, Mishunas Al-Seina Yamsufu Yones Chem V'Yishma B'Kol Tzagosam Hayom Hazeh Baruch Zocher and Ishkachos. Right, that's the next one. The Hein Oim Yacharav Amen. They say Amen afterwards. V'Chazak Nes Omer Hariyu B'nei Aaron Hariyu. They say Hariyu instead of Tiku. They say Hariyu. Right. They say blow trua. All right. Some say he just blows a trua. Others say he blows trua tkiya trua. So to each and every bracha, right? Some say he says tiku, others says hariyu. So some learn that he just blows a tkiya, and then the other times we said trua, he just blows a trua. And other words say that the one that he says is the important one with the other ones in between. So so two dots over there. What are we talking about? Big vulin, and there's the ones where they say Amen after the bracha, then they say blow the shofar. But in the mikdash, that's not our word. We don't say Amen in the mikdash. And where do we see that we don't say the word Amen in the mikdash? Now the pasuk says, "Kumu baruchu es Hashem Elokeichem min ha'olam v'ad olam v'yivarchu shem kevodcha u'meroimem al kol bracha v'tila." So the pasuk over there, right? Where is this pasuk? Nehemiah, right? Thank you. So it says Tamaleimar. So therefore it says Tamaleimar. I'll call bracha tila. I'll call bracha tila tila. Therefore each and every one you give him tila. You don't just say amen. You say each and every bracha. You say Baruch Shein Kavod Machusay L'Olam V'Ed. Right. So therefore that is giving Ramus, right? That is giving praise to each and every bracha. So we don't just say amen. So the mikdash, what does he say? Baruch Hashem Elokei Yisrael min Eilam v'Ad Eilam Baruch Goel Yisrael. So he says the bracha of Baruch Goel Yisrael, and afterwards they don't say amen. Rather they say Baruch Shein Kavod Machusay L'Olam V'Ed. The Chazan HaKnesses Aimer Lahem. Then he says Tiku Kohanim B'nei Aaron Tiku. Kohanim go ahead and blow the shofar. The Chayzer B'Yomer Mishras Avram V'Hari, which is the next bracha of B'Har Hu Yanes Chem Yishma B'Kol Tzagosam Hayom Hazeh Baruch Atah Hashem Elokei Zocher Nishkachos. The Hein Ani Machra Baruch Shein Kavod Machusay L'Olam V'Ed. Then the Chazan HaKnesses Aimer. Then he goes back to start to the next one. Hariyu HaKohanim B'nei Aaron Hariyu V'Chulei V'Chol Bracha each and every one. And biachas omer tiku, biachas omer hariyu, right? And then one he says tiku, and then the next one he says hariyu, and then back and forth ad shegomes kula until he finished it. V'kach hinig Rabbi Chalata b'tzipuri v'chanani b'tradim b'sichim, right? This was now we had remember in the Mishnah, right? We brought them also, right? The bottom of Tesvav and the top, and the top, right? It was the bottom page. This is right. It was a Maisa. We brought it by trying to shove it, right? They finished the entire bracha, right? And they didn't say amen, rather they said Baruch Shein Kavod Machusay. And now we're saying that over there also this was the minhag of Rechadim Tzibur Rechanim Ben Shana B'Sichli. Now, as they also did this, they said, when it came from Chachamim, they said, "Lo hayunogin kain ela b'shar mizach v'arabais." This exact way that was done was only done in the mikdash and not done in other places, right? In terms of saying amen and brosh and kavod machusay l'lamvad.
They said both?
No, they just said brosh and kavod machusay. Right now, v'is da'amri k'detanya, and some have a slightly different version of that which we just said. Some time. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. So it says, they say 25 brachas, 18 of the normal days. So they add another 6. And where did they say there's a 6? Right? There's a bain, goel, right? Between all 6 were inserted here. And they would say a longer bracha than the normal goel. So, amen, I'll call bracha. They say amen for each bracha. And this is how they did outside the base of Mikdash. They would say the bracha, amen. Right, and they would not say amen afterwards. Because you don't say amen mikdash, amen. And where do you say Shnamara? Pasuk says, "Kum baruch as Hashem lakecha min ha'olam ad ha'olam v'yirufu sham kvodecha u'mereimem al kol bracha v'tila." So each and every bracha and tila, you praise Hashem. You don't just say amen. Al kol bracha tein lo tila. Therefore, in every bracha, you say tila, you give praise. Now, Tarabanan, very also similar. Al Rishaynesu Aimeh Baruch Hashem Lokeisa Min Aylam V'Adalay Baruch Goha Yisrael Ve'inoim Achra Baruch Shen Kevayid Machusay Love the Chazan Knesset. Then afterwards, right? Afterwards, the Chazan says after they say Baruch Shen Kevayid, he says Tiku Kohanim Tiku, blow the shofar Kohanim the Chayzer, and then Ve'Aimer Mi Sha'ana Es Avram B'Harabayah Hu Yanes Chem Yishmael Kos Hagazam Hayom Hazeh, right? And then they skip the right Ein Taikin. But Marim and Taikin, then they blow. Some say just they blow. But Al Shnio Aimer. The second one they say Baruch Hashem Ve'Yisam Aylam Ve'Adalayim Baruch Zocher Nishkachas Ve'Inoyim Chalav Rosh Shein Kavah Machas Ulavad V'Chaz Aimer Hariu B'nei Hariu. Now it's time to go do a trua. Ve'Yaimer Mishanas Avos Al Yam Suf U'Yanas Kam Ve'Yishma Kos Hagas Ve'Yazeh Ve'Marim Ve'Taikin Marim. Then they do the trua Tkiya trua. V'Chein V'Chol Bracha Bracha. So one they do tiku, the other one hariu. Ad shikmar so brachas kula until they did all the brachas. This is how they did in the town of Sichli. However, the matter came for the Chachamim. They said, no, we don't say Baruch Shem Kavod. Rather, only in Harabais. Amen was reserved in all other places. And we'll stop here at the 2 dots.